Well, there are some major developments overnight as President Trump delivered his highly anticipated address at the World Economic Forum. Tensions have been high in Europe over America's insistence that it should be given Greenland. All of this is happening as President Trump celebrates the first anniversary of his second term. US expert Bruce Wolpe has penned a fascinating piece about Trump's presidency for The Conversation, and he's also the author of 2 books on Trump and Australia. Bruce, welcome to McKnight Tonight.
Great to be with you. A debut appearance and delighted to be here.
Well, let's hope it's the first of many more because Trump is certainly staying in the headlines.
There's no shortage of material with Trump. And on any news cycle, it's like half a dozen red hot issues that are worthy of attention.
I know, I really do know. Look, let's turn our attention to overnight events where Trump addressed the World Economic Forum. I'll get to Greenland specifically in a moment. But what did you think of his speech? What makes it a classic Trump speech? What are the elements? Tell us what you thought of the whole thing.
Well, he speaks for 90 minutes or more. He did it the day before in going to the White House press room, and talking to the hundreds of journalists packed in there to outline his achievements. And so it is a rambling speech. There's no script per se. He calls it the weave. He just throws out things and tries to weave them together in a narrative. And it's some of it is electrifying, some of it is immensely boring. But what he loves is attention to him. He wants to command the airwaves and have people pay just the closest attention to what he is saying and doing, because he wants to dominate the conversation and the outcomes. So that's what. So he did that again. Earlier today at the Davos Forum in Switzerland.
What was interesting about that speech is that it was very centered on American politics. He's at an international forum, and yet he's taking potshots at Joe Biden. He's factually incorrect on some of the things he's saying. It seemed more of a State of the Union address rather than something where you're talking to economic and world leaders at an international forum.
But he's so self-centered that he believes anything of interest in the United States is going to have the world wrapped at what he's saying in an overseas setting. But he really did, though, broaden it, if you will, and he did have an intent to. That speech first was going to be about housing policy in America and what he's going to do about affordability and stuff like that. But the events of the past 3 days have just overtaken it, and he knew he had to address it. And so there were direct messages to Europe about what he wants, how he wants to get it. He took some things off the table, put other things on the table. I guess the imminent risk of hostile military force of one NATO member, the United States, against another, Denmark, that is now off the table. And there's now a framework to kind of discuss the issues. But believe me, Europe feels that the relationship has ruptured. And Trump is doing nothing to dissuade them from that belief. The world has changed over the past few days, and it is visible to all of us that we're in a new era, and it is very, very unstable.
It's interesting you say that because I have thought the same. I said it on this show last night. We were discussing it, and it seems to me I've never seen a scenario where world leaders are literally doing a takedown of him, from Mark Carney in Canada, Emmanuel Macron. But obviously this has all come with his desire, his obsession with Greenland. That was the big focus of this event, what people wanted to hear from him. Let's have a listen to Trump, where he actually toned down his threats over Greenland.
It's the United States alone that can protect this giant mass of land, this giant piece of ice, develop it and improve it and make it so that it's good for Europe and safe for Europe and good for us. And that's the reason I'm seeking immediate negotiations to once again discuss the acquisition of Greenland by the United States. We probably won't get anything unless I decide to use excessive strength and force, where we would be, frankly, unstoppable. But I won't do that. Okay? Now everyone's saying, oh, good. That's probably the biggest statement I made, because people thought I would use force. I don't have to use force. I don't want to use force. I won't use force. All the United States is asking for is a place called Greenland, where we already had it, as a trustee, but respectfully returned it back to Denmark not long ago after we defeated the Germans, the Japanese, the Italians, and others in World War II. We gave it back to them. We were a powerful force then, but we are a much more powerful force now.
Okay, just a quick fact check there. The US never legally possessed Greenland as its own territory, so there was nothing to give back. But Bruce, his language is much softer than the threats we've recently been hearing. Is this another case of Taco Trump? Trump always chickens out?
He chickens out, particularly when the markets go south on him. And we had it in April on the trade war with China. We said, I'm going to raise your tariffs to 100% because of what you're doing. And the bond market went way south past Antarctica, and he reversed it. And the same thing happened in the markets yesterday, down almost 2%, and signaling a long-term decline. And so by taking the tariffs off the issue, by saying, I'm not going to go to war, he was able to stabilize. It's just very important to him that the stock market stays up all the time. So that was a tactical ploy. But the fact is, you're facing a president who is going against the grain of the institutions established after World War II for prosperity, security, peace, and the leaders of Europe now understand that that world is over. You had the Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, just say there's been a rupture in the relationship. Chancellor Merz has said the same. Starmer of the UK, who has been, look at the hospitality he showed to the president when he went to the UK on the state visit. Even he said, you can't do this. We had a year, Trump's been in office for a year, it was now a 6th year, but a year of the second term. And over that time, knowing that Trump could upend things, the leaders individually came to a conclusion, well, let's flatter him. Let's shower him in gifts. Let's give him stature and rapture and everything like that. And they bring golden ornaments to the White House that he can put in there, and they praise him as just being the most dynamic. The head of NATO said, "We now have Daddy. He's our daddy in NATO."
That's right.
I'm sorry. Well, he's turned out to be a bad daddy in NATO, but that didn't work because Trump did not adjust his thinking, his objectives, how he wants to get it. Until he just hasn't. And now that's now digested, and people know we're in for a very rough period.
Well, on Greenland, Trump has announced he's reached the framework of a deal with NATO over Greenland's future. We don't know the details yet. I saw an interview with him said we've got concepts of a deal. It's
Yes.
almost like concepts of a plan when it comes to healthcare. But this is a theory. I want you to hear this. This is a theory I floated last night on McKnight Tonight about Trump's ultimate objectives, which I think have changed. I think he definitely wanted Greenland, but I think he's pivoted based on the backlash. Have a listen to what I said last night.
Okay.
Trump wants the minerals. That's what this is all about, right? So what if he ends up coming away from this week with a deal for a bigger American presence, which they would have got anyway, so capitulating to that isn't a problem. But what if he also got a mineral sharing deal as part of leaving Greenland alone? That's what he wants, isn't it?
It is what he wants, and that's what he wants in Venezuela, and he gets the oil. And that's what he wants from as far as Cuba, and that's what he wants in Greenland. So throughout the Americas, he sees natural resources as assets, and that they build a stronger country, and he's obsessed with it. And so I think you're exactly right. If it's not going to be done by hostile force, and I just hope so much that just never happens. Yeah, he'll strike agreements with Denmark to have leases on resources and be able to look at Zelensky and Ukraine as part of those discussions into trying to get to an end of the war. In February, when that meeting blew up in the White House, Trump had a piece of paper saying, you give me control over your rare earths and critical minerals. And so he is absolutely taken with this and sees it as essential to the success of the United States and essential to his legacy as president.
Which he may be right. It's just the idea of demanding it from other countries. But the New York Times is reporting alliance officials separately discussed the possibility of the United States obtaining sovereignty over land for military bases according to 3 senior officials familiar with the talks. Sovereignty is quite interesting because if he gets that over the bases and a mineral deal, he does get everything he wants. He doesn't need to own Greenland as an asset because he's getting what he wants.
You know, you're such a rational person, and it's sort of a shame that Trump doesn't listen to rational arguments. With the best of intentions, I don't think he's going to fulfill everything that you're articulating. But there is a question between war and peace, and there is a question of having some security for the United States and Europe in Greenland, and with an eye towards Russia and what it's doing, and the eye towards China and what it's there. So that's important. But how it's done, I still think, is really up in the air. But the point is that the leaders of Europe, in their hearts, are fearful of the future, and until this week, they were hopeful about the future and felt they could do it. And let's look at Russia for just a moment. Putin is in a terrific position of leverage here. By Trump going after Venezuela for oil, Trump interested in Greenland for resources. Well, why should Putin give up any of the land he's holding in Ukraine?
Correct.
And you want to be the head of the Americas, and that's your sphere of influence? Well, guess what? Europe is my sphere of influence. So I think Trump has lost
no moral high ground, right?
no moral high ground, but no leverage in order to get a peace deal with an end to that war in Ukraine. So I think that is as far away as it has ever been, and that means that he's failed in that. He has these deals, these mega deals that he puts together. So this is one on Greenland. He has one on Gaza. He's trying to do something on Ukraine, and he says, "I have a framework, and we're going to." But he never closes the deal. It's never over. It's never solved, and I think that is a massive failure in his presidency.
Well, let's talk his presidency generally, because it's been a big year for Donald Trump. We've just passed the first anniversary of his second term. Give me your report card.
The report card is that he's past peak power, and things that he's done is catching up with him. He is his
So
approval
by that, do
rating.
you mean he's a good one-term president, but 2 terms now that he's got his second term and he's done a year, all the stuff that he's done previously and in the last year will catch up with him?
It's catching up with him. The effectiveness of his exercise of power is post peak. In other words, it's in decline. His polls have gone down from 50% approval to 40% approval. The only issues in which he's above 50% in popularity is controlling crime, and then sealing the border with Mexico. People like that. In Australia, we have immigration policy. People don't want people pouring into the country. It works politically. But on everything else, and especially the economy, do the American people feel more secure about their economic future? The answer is no. Do they like agents of the ICE agents, the immigration agents, flooding American cities and making pretty brutal arrests on people? The answer is no. Are they happy with how he's dealing with taxes, with foreign policy, with what he did in Venezuela? The answer is no. So he is not in as commanding a position as he was in the first months of his presidency. And later this year, we have elections for the House and the Senate, the midterm elections in November. The margins in the House are very close, 2 or 3 seats either way for a majority. In the Senate, 3, 4 seats. And the outlook right now, just based on where Trump is and how he's not connecting with most Americans these days, that the prospects for Democrats in those elections are good. But, that's still 7 months away, and that's a long time in American politics.
Is he still popular with the MAGA base?
He is popular with the MAGA base, but this fixation on foreign policy, on Gaza, on Venezuela, on Greenland.
People say they voted for Trump and for him to cut through it all, but they didn't vote to invade Greenland and Venezuela and all this kind of stuff.
You said you'd take care of us. You're going to make America great again at home. But every day that he spends on foreign policy is a day he's not improving the economy. And since it's cost of living affordability issues, just like in Australia, things cost too much. I just don't feel I have the resources I need to take care of myself and my family. Job security is not very high. And so you're not delivering to me. And I still think the economic issues are the strongest driver of whether he's going to be politically successful.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because you can tell people they've never had it so good, but if they're struggling financially and struggling to do the shopping,
Yeah.
the reality hits home.
He says we're the hottest country in the world. Well, hot for who? And it's
Yeah.
not a majority of the American people. And honestly, he won. Without COVID, I think he would have been reelected in 2020, and I think he won the election in 2024 because people were not happy with inflation and high interest rates.
Yeah.
So it's still the most important factor to keep your eye on. On polling, just for our viewers, when Trump goes below 40%, that's pretty serious stuff because 40% is his base. So if he goes below that, that means that his base is beginning to defect from him.
And what, he's about 37, I think I saw one
Yeah,
poll at the
30,
moment.
about 38. Now it can, if great things happen, it can go up, but if bad things happen, it can keep going down. He's not, he says, I'm the most popular president. He's not. So he's struggled. He's going to go on the campaign trail starting next week. He intends to be very active going into states and congressional seats that are crucial to keeping the Republican majority in the House. So he'll be out there. And so we're going to have a lot more 90-minute speeches from this president.
I think he actually prefers running for president and campaigning rather than being president. But on that, Steve Bannon is openly saying Trump will run for another term. Do you think Americans, even his biggest supporters, will cop that?
I don't think anyone will. Well, I think his supporters may want that, but it's impossible. He cannot do it. It is against the Constitution. He doesn't control the elections. There are the ballots for president and Congress are determined by each state. There are 50 state ballots for the election, and he doesn't control it. He can't. He is ineligible under the Constitution to run, and he knows it. But I think he loves talk about it, and so sorry. I have a few constitutional scholars I'd like you to meet. Okay, it can't happen.
Yeah, but in Trump's America, I just fear anything can happen. Hey, look, Bruce, I appreciate your insights. Thank you so much for joining us on McKnight Tonight.
You're welcome. Thank you.
McKnight Tonight. McKnight Tonight. McKnight Tonight.